broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
FABULOUS.
Oh, we're doing the thing that I said that we shouldn't do?
Bada bing, bada boom, realest hosts in the room. How
Nailed
you
it.
doing? This is the Breaking Ground After Show right here on AfterBuzz TV. I'm Cathy Kelley. Joining me, Mark Donica with the smooth moves.
Just gotta move them shoulders, Cathy Kelley. Just gotta move them shoulders, Cathy
shoulders
Kelley.
are
Let me
kinda
just adjust
tight. I
that
can't
a
do
little bit
that.
more.
Yeah.
That's fine. It helps work out. Hi, I'm the Internet Soapbox Mark. You can follow me on Twitter at Soapbox Mark. I'm in the chat and talking to everybody who's here live. Talk about this episode of Breaking Ground. You're not
wearing your NXT.
I am, my Texas shirt.
Texas. Did
Yeah.
you go to
Whoa.
that?
No, it was on sale on Black Friday for $7, so I bought it.
Fans.
Super sale.
Yup.
Sitting next to Mark Donica, Bill Hanstock.
Hi everybody. I'm Sundown Motel on Twitter. I'm not in the chat, but I'm sitting next to the guy who's in the chat.
Yes.
Hobo is sick.
Yes.
And Bill is an awesome person. We asked him to come back anyway.
Well,
I'm
Hobo
thrilled
won't
to
be
be
joining
here.
us. Brandon Taylor won't be joining us either. Something is going around.
He broke
Two
it
big
yesterday.
losses.
Yeah.
He broke it. Last week. He blew my mind that he was actually both of those people. Freaks me out to this day.
He's got the plague.
Speaking of sweet shirts and big sales, sadly my Boxcar Club shirt has not arrived
It's
yet. But
weird. It comes really quick usually.
well, not for me.
Well, that's fair enough. Weekends and such.
It's taking a boxcar to get
It's
to
not
you.
taking ground. It's breaking ground.
Well, we're
Bada boom.
here to talk about Breaking Ground.
How you doing? Let's talk about this episode. I got a lot of tweets this week about how this was the best episode of Breaking Ground, and I feel like we say that every single week. You don't think so?
I don't think it was.
I don't
the
think
best
so either.
episode
Okay.
yet. But I did greatly enjoy it yet
Mm-hmm.
again. But I did not. There was one segment in particular that I felt didn't really need to be there, but I'm sure we'll go through it.
It was like a kick to the head.
No, not
Oh.
that part.
Oh, that was
part
very
fine.
necessary.
That part was fine.
Because Carmella was one of the focuses of the episode.
Well, what I've noticed that they do a lot is that all of their advertisement like sort of builds around one thing every week, and then that thing ends up being like the last thing that's
thing.
actually for the next week. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's kind of TV 101.
yeah, it's called the bait and switch, or in wrestling parlance, the swerve.
That's it. We got swerved. I thought that show got canceled.
That swerved was good.
Swerved was
I liked.
I
liked Swerve.
genuinely believe that Swerve was just canceled, and they're gonna bring it back for another season, but they just don't want to tell anyone because people will be on the lookout for.
I think it was canceled in the sense of this costs a lot more money than we expected, and also it gets like harder and harder to actually like prank people backstage once you've done it a few times.
Well, that's why I was saying it's canceled, so
Right,
people
right.
think that it's not actually happening anymore.
They should
And
do a
then-
special Breaking Ground Swerved, like a special NXT edition of Swerve.
Oh, they'll never see it
Breaking
coming.
ground is swerved.
Oh.
Everybody's gonna come out and like take a bow at the end of the first season. Like, no, we're not these people at all. Baron Corbin comes out with glasses and like Sense and Sensibility.
It's like I actually really like everyone.
Apollo Crews comes out and he's like, I'm really Seisu Uha and I'm not happy at all.
yeah, this bothers me a lot.
He's just happy to be here.
He's just Apollo Crews.
I want to ask you guys and the people at home what you were more surprised to learn in the episode, that Carmella and Cass were dating, or that Corbin loves shrunken heads.
Yeah, I was probably the most surprised by like Baron Corbin's like fascination with like the occult and like, oh, I've been going to like ghost areas since I was 12.
Yeah.
Like,
I think he just went to like carnival haunted houses.
It's like, oh, cool, a cat skeleton. Let me
congratulations,
buy that.
Baron, you're weird.
Only
Yeah.
$500.
Yeah.
He went from being a jerk to just weird.
Well, I think that they actually did like touch on Carmella and Cass dating in a previous episode. which is what I was
They
like,
alluded
yeah.
to it, yeah,
Used to be
definitely.
like when they went shopping for cowboy hats and boots. down at Texas, which I didn't attend.
But you can also go shopping with your guy friends and it not mean anything.
You can?
But
Yeah.
there was some
texts.
definite, like, you look sexy in that, sort of,
Bada boom.
which is what I told him about his NXT shirt before we came in.
Oh.
You told him he looks sexy in that shirt?
Yeah.
With those exact words.
I said, shake it, don't break it.
That's great.
We got a couple people, or they call me Ronnie D in chat. Corbin by far. Dude's a straight up weirdo. It's pretty odd. But then, like, when you get the preview of, like, the ghost house thing, and then they get in there, like, they actually get into the sanitarium, and he's just like, oh, I got bad feelings about this room. I want to go in here, but I don't. And he's, like, clearly kind of friends with JJ in that situation.
Right.
It, like, the perceptions that we're getting from whatever questions they're asking him in, like, the side room. What is that actually called?
I mean, I usually call them ITMs. They're in the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when they're in the ITMs, they have loaded questions.
It's like an ATM
Right.
machine.
Don't even.
PIN number.
Don't even. ITM moments where it seems like those
ITM
questions.
moments.
I just did what you did. It's they have a lot more loaded questions, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
And in this episode, it didn't really match what was going on.
I mean, that's just a reality TV producer thing that they do. They'll ask you the same question 6 different ways until you respond the way that best fits their storyline.
Right.
So.
All right.
But the most shocking thing of the entire episode, and I want to make sure that I don't forget to talk about it because it's the thing I'm most excited to talk about,
Yes.
is that Jason Jordan makes the worst looking omelet I've ever seen.
That was an
I saw you
omelet?
tweet that.
It was abysmal. I think it was at least a scramble, but I think it was an attempt at being
I thought
an
it was a
omelet.
hash.
It was just a bunch of eggs and then like sausage. Like sausage that he had broken up with his hands.
See, the
That's
thing about omelets
But-
10-minute
is
omelet.
like,
But, okay,
it
even-
looks like a scramble once you eat it
Right.
anyways.
If
So.
it was a scramble, though, he was cooking it in the world's smallest skillet with a butter knife.
Yeah.
It was just, it was sad looking,
He's
and
a
it was in a
boy.
skillet this big, and he was like flipping it
Now I
with a
want-
butter
That
knife.
just reminds me of every guy I went to college with.
Well, now
Like,
I want a side cooking series with JJ called Breaking Eggs. I pulled a you, Cathy Kelley. Be proud.
If you want to make an NXT superstar,
you got yolks.
you have to break some ground.
Anyways,
Will you call me chicken?
She's really shelling out the puns.
Keeping them going.
So we start out this episode on more of a somber note, though. As we ended last week's episode, several people get raises, including Jason Jordan,
Apollo
Cruz, I wanted to
Nia
call him
Jax.
and Nia Jax. But unfortunately, Cal Bishop gets cut, and we see the full video of that with Canyon in the room and explaining the situation. And you can just tell how loved he was by his fellow NXTers. Nia was even saying, she's like, it's so hard to be happy getting this raise and being successful when one of your family members is cut.
Yeah, but I do like how they presented Bishop's departure. Like they didn't say this doesn't have to be it. If he shows that he can, and they still kept it kind of corporate, but the fact that it was, if he goes and improves himself and shows that he's not like an injury magnet and really improves himself and can show us that he is an asset to this company, he'll be invited back.
Well, this is the first time obviously everyone knows this, of like, people get cut, and they said it, Canyon even said, if he makes himself valuable again.
Yeah.
So this is a company where, yes, it's a person, but it's also, this is their opportunity to make money, as they make money off of personalities. So they unfortunately didn't see him as that. It sucks, and he seems like he's doing well. I think I saw a report yesterday that he's training for the Olympics, actually. So props to him. And you
what,
can tell,
powerlifting or
No, wrestling.
Wrestling,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's out there, I think, proves that he's still passionate about it. And even on the episode, just we saw him crying about it. So he loves this industry, and wishing the best to him.
And he got a nice little like talking head like exit exit interview where he was like, "I'm gonna do my best to be back."
Yeah,
and I wouldn't rule out them like bringing him back like as a trainer, like an assistant trainer or something in NXT.
Especially if he makes it in the Olympics.
Yes.
No, seriously.
No, yeah.
Because then he has that
adds
extra.
value,
He gets
and
extra
clout to him.
experience.
Yeah. I mean, even Kanyon said when he was getting released, he was saying, "This is nothing personal at all. Like, you are cared about by everyone here. Everyone loves you." And then you could see everyone when they were saying goodbye, walking him out. Matt Bloom, the other trainer that was there.
They couldn't get an ID on them.
Yeah.
Might have been Billy Gunn.
I don't think it was really good.
No, just in general, because like the last week in the meeting, he was kind of like, he was there, but they didn't show him talking or anything, so they might be just at least a little bit trying to be like, yeah, Billy was, he was here, but
well,
let's
I
take
noticed,
away focus.
I noticed that Solomon Crowe is still in the opening credits of Breaking Ground, and
I mean,
usually like WWE is like pretty like quick to like pull someone out of.
Well, that's also because it's not WWE producing it; it's a separate production company.
And he left on good terms, and I figure if anything,
this will be part of the storyline.
It might be part of a storyline. So until he's gone from Breaking Ground, we'll still see him in the background too.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't get he got a name card in the episode where they were playing video games, very realistically. So I think we'll see him again.
Yeah. We get an inside look to Baymella, the best friendship between Carmella and Bayley.
They're so great.
They're so cute.
I love Carmella's invisible string lip routine. It was wonderful.
This is just one of
he
those
hates
things.
Friendship.
Obviously,
I don't hate friendship.
she has so
bit.
much personality as Carmella, but this just added another layer to it of her just being a complete dork, and I love it.
Yeah. It's really, really, really great. It was a lot of fun because, for so many NXT fans and so many wrestling fans, they just view Carmella as like the third Enzo and Cass to come along, and like her whole gimmick is like she does what they do, what they already like made popular. So it's nice to see that she has like what I consider to be like a really likable personality. And I mean, like, her dad's a wrestler.
Yeah.
Like, she's like a second generation wrestler, and she's obviously got talent, and she's got a personality, and she's likable. It's just that same thing of like what one of the biggest reasons that makes like Total Divas my favorite show in the world is that like you get to spend time with these people as like 60 to 90% of actual people of who they are, and then you're like, I could be friends with this person. I want to be friends with this person.
Do you think that you're friends with Carmella?
No, I don't think that I am. I think that I would love to be friends with Carmella. Yeah.
Huh, that's a cool way to put it.
Bayley tweeted me that we would be really good friends, so my life is pretty much complete.
Oh, I'm so jealous. every person on Total Divas, I'm like every single person, I'm like, I want to be friends with them.
I mean, a couple of them are out here and shoot out here. We had excuse me. Whoa. We had both Cameron and Eva Marie in the studios respectively.
I saw that.
Pretty great.
Those things.
Yep. Eva Marie was really nice.
She is really nice.
She's a nice lady.
I've gotten to talk to her before. But anyway.
Yeah, we're not talking about Total Divas.
Humble brag.
Oh, a lot.
Humble brag segment over.
Very much. Oh, are you kidding? We're just getting started.
This whole show is humble brag.
Texas shirt. But we...
Did you know that? I know Cathy Kelley.
Did you?
It's pretty crazy.
She's... I mean, sometimes her jokes...
Up that name you just dropped?
Oh, snap.
It's your own name, though. Son of a bitch. This and seeing everybody at like house shows and stuff, like when they're really working and having fun and doing that development that we don't see on TV, helped me like Carmella a little bit more in the way that you mentioned.
Yeah.
So I can see her development.
I think that all of Breaking Ground is just serving to like get to know people as like human beings, and that you get more invested in them.
Honestly, that to me is the problem with the main roster versus NXT.
Yep.
Is in NXT we get to see their personalities, we get to see their characters develop, and not just their characters on the show, but we get to see these behind the scenes packages of their actual life and why they're so passionate about the industry. In this day and age, like, I think people are so drawn to authenticity. Like, that's why YouTube stars are actual celebrities now, is because we're drawn to like being let into someone's actual life, someone sharing actual opinions as opposed to just reading scripted words. And that's what you get on the main roster is the scripted promos, whereas in NXT it's actual people that we're investing time in.
But more than that, the reason why Breaking Ground works so well, the reason why Total Divas works so well is because there's never been any group of people more suited to reality television than professional wrestlers, because they've all spent at least a portion of their lives dedicated to like living as this character that they're trying to present.
They all have really interesting lives too. Like, what crazy person would want to be a professional wrestler except for like all of anyone that watches wrestling?
But it really speaks to like, I think Breaking Ground's gonna like, I mean, people already love NXT so much, so like Breaking Ground's sort of a no-brainer to like get to know these people better. But I think that like every like the WWE wrestlers that pop up on Total Divas, like Titus O'Neil, John Cena, Dolph Ziggler, Bryan Danielson, they get to be more beloved by wrestling fans that happen to watch Total Divas because it's like, oh, here's these people as real people. And I like, it speaks to the overwhelming like success of Total Divas that like so many people that watch it, like so people that watch it have never watched wrestling before, are not wrestling fans, and they just get into it.
I think it also makes you that much more sympathetic to what they're going through of like, oh, it's not just that you tape a TV show for 3 hours a week. It's that you have to do all these press things, and you have to, like, there's so much. Seeing on Breaking Ground tonight, they had a 14-hour travel day before they had to work. Like, that is so taxing and draining. And then you have to get in the ring and, like, fight. Like, that's difficult. But I think that all of these packages, from Total Divas, Breaking Ground, the Demon package that we saw of Finn Balor, the E60 specials that we saw
Apollo Crews package
with everyone, all of those things
even
just
Swerved.
add another layer to
Swerved.
you get to see their personalities, and I think it makes
Renee
you that
Young's
much more
show
invested.
that's on...
I just watched The Unfiltered with Kevin Owens. And most of the show is talking about him being a bad Canadian, loving zoos, and how much he loves his family.
So good.
Just that and him being a troll on Twitter. Like that's the stuff that's great, that the network is great for.
I love that show so much, but I also hate it at the same time because I want more of it.
Right. It's so short.
That it's like,
and
you
it
like
hasn't been on in like months.
Superstar Inc.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
I like it.
Table for Three, all their stuff.
All of the WWE Network just has quality programming.
WWE Network for $9.99. Don't buy it on pay-per-view for $54. It's cool.
But you were talking about the 14-hour travel day. That's the next thing I wanted to talk about this episode. I loved it so much. It was so adorable that all of them are traveling in one group wearing like matching NXT.
That's what they do.
No, I know that's what they do, but that's not what WWE wrestlers do.
I forget who I've talked to though before, where they say like people will ask them in the airports who aren't wrestling fans. They'll be like, "Are you guys a basketball team, like a co-ed basketball team or something?" And they're like, "Yep, that's what we are. We dribble the balls and stuff on the court." Like, they have no idea what they're talking about, but they just will talk to people because it's fun.
It's just great. It's just great to see it because we know that's how NXT travels, but it's great to be able to see it because that's not at all how WWE superstars travel or divas. They're responsible for their own travel. Yeah, they all arrange their own travel. And,
if you think about it, they're a walking billboard if they're doing that.
And even in all of the other Breaking Ground episodes that we've seen to date, it's just duos traveling in cars from one show to another within Florida.
Well, we saw it a little bit in the Texas episode.
A little bit, but we never saw like the whole
day
crew. Like even Robbie Brookside and Albert like sitting in chairs, like sipping Starbucks and like NXT windbreakers, you know.
Life goal, that windbreaker.
I just love all these kids so much. They're all great.
Yeah, you're great kids.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be a branding thing too. They could just start selling those on WWEshop.com.
I'm shocked they don't.
But like make them super expensive.
Yeah. Dress like the NXT
full tracksuits.
But the danger is
so you can go to do the day in the Performance Center in your NXT tracksuit.
That's probably, or no, but then you don't make it the exact same thing.
Yeah.
You know?
You'll do like NXT on the butt, like the juicy sweatpants.
Yes. A velour suit that says NXT and like pink
you would look
rhinestone.
Fabulous. Needs to get made. Anyways, let's talk about one of the newest arrivals at NXT.
Awesome.
Lovepreet. He is from India, scouted by Canyon Seaman, and just so happy to be there. What'd you think of his introduction?
I thought it was awesome. I thought it was really cool to see that footage of William Regal like in a little like palanquin almost, like just in his little like royal seating area under a canopy, like watching these guys wrestle in a pit.
That's OG Indian wrestling.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's just great to see, like, Canyon Seaman was talking about how he spends 100 days a year scouting, and it's great to just have footage of them, like, out in India, just, like, watching people, and it really shows, like, the dedication that WWE and NXT goes to like, find new talent. This is
the most we've gotten to see as fans of an inside look into what Canyon looks for in when he's scouting talent, because he talked about it's not just about finding wrestlers that already know how to wrestle. It's he goes to rugby events, he goes to like and
other
listed off
events.
Several different sporting events, the Olympics, all these things. Which for him, I think he has a volleyball background.
Yeah,
so
he does.
Yeah,
he looks like he has a volleyball background.
But the fact that, you know, you're so passionate about sports and then you get to bring it into your workplace is probably super fun.
I like how global we're legitimately getting. Like, it's not just, oh yeah, we're a global company, we got a British guy. Like, no, it's actual global wrestling. And from a business perspective, India is a huge market. Yep. Huge market that loves professional wrestling.
Yeah.
And
a billion people?
And maybe they're not all wrestling fans, but that would, I mean, imagine all of those people, just a billion people, let's say average, just a random average American, like 4 people per household. So times $10 or the equivalent, or the Indian equivalent of $10 for the network.
Well, that's
amazing.
Yeah. That's why Khali was.
No, he's instrumental. Like,
that's what, yeah.
If anything, I think they're using. He recently opened up a school, and they're using his. I think they use his school or where they train to do the open call.
Right.
And it cemented itself even more so when he did his promo, because I was worried seeing all of the the foreign talent. So I miss me some Sylvester LaFour. I love that guy. But him going like, English, it's not my first language,
really cool.
and he's seeing all of that, and obviously like a kind of a cut and paste put together bit, but that bit alone made me go, I want to see more of this guy and where he comes from.
It was funny because at first when they were introducing him, I was like, he doesn't seem that confident, or like, I don't know, he just didn't have that quality that I was like, oh yeah, he's definitely going to be a star. And then we saw him in promo class, I was like, he's really confident when he speaks, and English is not his first language. I can't even speak that well.
Well, that's why. Because when English isn't your first language, it takes, you think of the words in your language, and then you have to translate them at the same time. So uptick, and then being talked to in English, you have to take in the word, translate it back to your original language, think of your original language, translate it back into English to say it out again. Despite all of that,
if I were to do a promo in Spanish, I would probably kill
it. Oh,
no.
I thought you were pretty good with your Spanish.
Nope.
No.
Only took it for 12 years, but
the unfortunate thing about their international recruiting, and since the late 90s, you know, since they had, since the early 90s, WWE's always been truly like a global, you know, business. They have
the World Wrestling,
the League of Nations.
No, but they have such enormous popularity everywhere in the world, and since the late 90s, they've really been trying. I mean, now
to
they
capitalize on that.
Now they have an apparatus in place to fully scout the whole world and try and bring people into the Performance Center. Like, the Performance Center is such a vital part of trying to create truly international stars.
I think it's freaking awesome that they have people from Australia and the UK and just all over the place.
Yeah, but they've the only issue is that in WWE, and we've seen this especially since people have been getting injured, is even though there's so much programming every week, there's 5 hours on prime time, even though there's so much programming, there's still only so much time you can dedicate to
each person.
People. So
quote unquote.
That's the trick is do American audiences, who are notoriously fickle, especially the live crowds, have the patience and the tolerance for spending the time to get a wide swath of like international stars.
But I think that's also why you need to have these packages that are on the network and on demand, or on YouTube and on demand, because I mean, like, personally, as a fan, I know more about Finn Balor from the 30-minute thing that they did and he's been with the company for a year now, than I do about Dolph Ziggler, and I've been watching him for 5 years on TV.
He was a caddy once.
Dolph Ziggler?
Yeah, for Chavo Guerrero.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Kerwin White. That's random.
But if you dedicated even 3 or 5 minutes to each of those guys on the main roster, and you made that stuff available, I think that fans would care, whether they're heel or face, or you don't really know, or they have no storyline. Fans would care about those individual people, and they would be able to. I think they need to help these people build their individual fan bases so they can have a better product overall.
I agree with that. On NXT, we get not like even just the 20-second ones, where if somebody's not on that week, like if Becky Lynch had like a couple of weeks in between where she was wrestling, we would get a little 20-second blurb to remind you, this is Becky Lynch, this is what she's about. If you're a new viewer, boom. It's like, sorry, last thing, it's what Stan Lee used to say, treat every comic book like it's somebody's first.
Yeah.
And you got to do that for episodes and with these characters.
Two things. First off, Sam Roberts on his podcast this week said that one of the reasons why Raw is not
tanking?
Well, they treat every week like they're new fans on board, and so that's why they introduce things again, and it's really hard to get people over because they're introducing them to the fan base every single week, essentially. But it goes back to what Baron Corbin said in Breaking Ground in this episode, where he has to, and every single person on the roster has to convey exactly who they are every time they step out into an arena. Every time they are out in the ring, they have to show exactly what emotions are going through. And as we've talked about in the past, on this show and on our NXT after show, it's so much harder for NFL players especially to convey that, because they've been taught to conceal those emotions.
Conceal, don't feel.
Yeah.
But Corbin just needs to let it go.
Let it go.
Yeah, was the joke, yes. If what you're saying about Raw, or what Mr. Sam Roberts said about Raw is entirely true, and I know I just made that point, but it's not the responsibility of the writers to do that. No. I think that's something that the talent has to do in their performance. The talent has to
do, but they also have to be given a certain amount of time.
Agreed. But the commentators, like...
And also feel free to do that, because I think a lot of people are worried that if they mess up or they try something different and it doesn't work, their job is completely in jeopardy.
Case in point, New Day. There are guys who just started slowly creeping in the right thing, and it started working, and now they've got how much weird merchandise that WWE has never had before, but they're sold out of constantly.
Yeah. We could go on.
We really could.
This subject for hours.
Love Preet. I love me some Love Preet.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where he goes.
A good surprise with him, I think, for me. But we get to see the Louder Than Life music festival, which was one of the first trips that they took with NXT. Of course, they had the Texas trip. They're starting to go on the road more, and it looks like a lot more in 2016. But the Louder Than Life festival, it's rainy and muddy. Everyone has to get some new shoes.
Some sweet shoes.
Jason Jordan decides to go with the Catapults, aka knockoffs of Air Jordans.
This is the second time that Jason Jordan's worn really awesome cheap shoes on the show. He wore Starburys in a previous episode, which
I'm just glad you know the brand.
Well, they previously retailed for $15. They were Stephon Marbury's.
That's right.
Shoes, and they were so just crazy looking,
Well, I like how he put it for these. It's like, I'm never gonna wear these shoes again. Yeah. We're walking through the mud. Dude, you just
got a raise.
And we got Enzo's like only line in Breaking Ground today. He's like, I got some steel toes for your nose.
Kicking your nose. Yeah.
Those don't look like steel toes. You lied.
I got some chucks.
Whoa, are those the new Converse? The ones that are comfortable?
Ooh.
They're super comfortable, yeah.
No, they
They
re-
actually have
love
like padding in
they
the.
recently made new Converse
don't
that
know.
are
I
comfortable.
like them.
I like shoes. Shoes are pretty great. I wear them on my feet. I'm wearing sandals right now.
They're cheap and I'm worth it.
Are you really wearing sandals?
I'm wearing sandals right now.
Oh my goodness.
What
It's
kind of
okay.
shoes are you wearing?
I'm wearing the new CP39s.
Ooh, the show
Jordans.
got a lot sexier. Talking about people's
Show them for the camera.
shoes. If you can, here, let me move it. No, that's a wide shot right there. Look at that. Ooh.
Whoa.
Ooh, Jordans. Ooh.
Look at these shoes.
Jason Jordans. Ooh.
Jason
Jason's-
Jordans.
Jason Jordans. Jason's Jordans. Brewster's Millions.
Anything else you guys want to mention from the Louder Than
Yeah,
Life
I
Festival?
wanted to
Okay.
mention that they perfectly encapsulated the Louder Than Life Festival in 2 shots when it showed like the 2 screens with Triple H behind a desk going, "Are you ready?" And like in full Triple H voice, and then cut to the crowd like tepidly like.
Yeah.
Well, it's such a weird situation because
No.
you have people that are diehard wrestling fans
Yeah.
there, and then you have people that have never
That's what I'm
watched
saying.
wrestling in
Yeah.
their life, so
It's-
they're being
no, they-
introduced to a product that's not like their main product.
Yeah,
It's
that's
very
exactly
bizarre.
what the Louder
Yeah.
Than Life Festival is gonna be like,
Yeah.
and I thought they did a great job capturing like what the actual atmosphere.
Well,
They
is.
locked off that shot at the wrong place.
Honestly, I think that this is such an incredible opportunity, not just for NXT in general to be exposed to more people, but for wrestlers to try to get over in an audience where not many people know them because they're so NXT is so used to having this diehard fan base where they have people that travel to every single show that they have in Florida. They have, Full Sail University, that crowd who knows every single word to every single promo.
For
and
better or
then
for worse.
to go to a festival where you're not the main event and a lot of people don't know you. They're even doing trivia like, oh, who is this person? And then a silhouette of the person that it's so obviously that I don't know if you
This
saw
is
that, but
this
it was
is
bad.
live event
It's like
training.
when you go to a movie and it's like, who famously co-starred with a volleyball in 2003's
Yeah, that's exactly what it
Castaway?
is.
That was Autumn Shank. He's a very good. That's a
No. I got it.
brilliant. This is live event training because live events are the cheaper shows where people go, oh, let's go see a wrestling show, whether they know the product or not. It's like, hey, I used to watch wrestling. It's in the area. You guys want to go and have a good time? That's the last live event I went to. Was that it was an
Yeah.
old boss of mine going, hey, you like wrestling and tickets are $20, you want to go? So that's. And those audiences aren't the hottest because you don't have to be live for TV because people aren't there to be on TV. People
Yeah.
are there to see wrestling. So this is
And
good
also-
to try to convert that
And
crowd.
also, the wrestlers aren't there to be on TV.
Exactly,
They're
so
there
they-
to have
They
fun.
can try new
They're there
things,
for the
yeah.
Miz and the Usos to have dance contests.
So great.
Yeah, sure. Watching Miz Stanky Leg is something I'll never get out of my...
That sounds awesome.
You weren't there.
He's scarred forever.
At the Louder Than Life Festival, Bailey actually gets the opportunity to produce a match between Eva Marie and Alexa Bliss, which sounds like she did really well with.
Yeah.
I don't think you can give too... It's better to give... She was worried that she said too much to them.
Yeah.
It's better to give too many notes than too little because if you forget a couple of the too many, you still kind of even out. But if you're like, hey, you guys will be fine. Just do a couple arm locks or rest hold or whatever. Try for your finisher miss. And then, just a nice 20-minute match. Something like really vague.
I'm really curious to, how the more green wrestlers learn how to put together a match, or if they're told down at NXT, is Eva Marie told what she should be doing during the matches, or is she coming up with that with whoever she's wrestling against versus, at indie shows, obviously, there are guys just in the back putting it all together.
Right.
But they have producers there to essentially either do that for them or help them out with it.
I think it's a combination of the two. It's the people. It's here's the story we're trying to tell with the match. How do you guys want to try to convey that story, and then guiding them along what the end result should be.
Well, because it can hurt you and it can help you, especially if you're new, having someone tell you too much, because then if something does go wrong, how do you improvise?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's, one of the main reasons why the Performance Center is there and exists is so that they can have people for however long it takes to just put together the most rudimentary match just for themselves. You know, like, and we saw some clips of that on the, you know, coming up next week, Breaking Ground. What's his name? The Italian football guy, Sabby. He's going to be doing one of those, like, just in the Performance Center matches, like an exhibition match for his, you know, trainers next week. So that's basically like they have the perfect, like, safety net of, like, let's put together a rudimentary match just so you can understand how a match flows, and they can do that again. They can do that every day for months until they understand how to tell a story in the ring using just snapmares and headlocks, and then they can go on to, you know,
those are those house show matches, dude. But that gives you real experience as opposed to okay, you're good in training and now here, go off to a show. Right. And that's where the center benefits more than an indie show.
Yeah. For
where
sure.
it's like, all right, kid, here you go, you're going to take a couple of hits, a finisher, and you're done. All right.
We definitely need to touch on Nashville. They went to Nashville the night after Louder Than Life, and this is where Eva Marie and Carmella have a match. Carmella is lying on the ring apron, ready for Eva Marie to kick her, and Eva Marie gets way too close, ends up giving her a concussion, and that's how we ended.
Well, we don't know that it was a concussion yet.
I
mean, we do.
We do, yeah.
And that was a really sad thing to not report because our NXT fans love when we talk about Eva Marie. But it's those things happen. Yeah. No matter who you are, no matter how experienced or inexperienced you are, those things happen, and it could have happened to a nicer person.
One of the things that was happening, and we won't really know the full story because they didn't actually deal with this full story this week. We won't know until next week and how they present it, like the Chad Gable ankle injury that was so devastating.
Oh, yeah.
There were a lot of people claiming that when the trailer for this current episode dropped, there were a lot of people who rushed to social media and to the internet to be like, oh, so that whole Eva kicking Carmella in the head thing was a work for Breaking Ground.
No,
I know.
Yeah.
I understand that. But that's...
No, that wasn't a no to you. It was just a general to life.
That's the mindset of a lot of people who are aware of Breaking Ground right now. Is that people thought that the whole, like, Devin getting fired thing was...
Okay, so with Breaking Ground, I do believe that they time things differently and bringing up people on certain days or releasing people on certain days.
And they do stuff like have Tyler Breeze and Ty Dillinger go under a bridge and look at bats, or they have everyone inexplicably go to a haunted house. Like that's
Although no, because when they're touring, they do
local
team
stuff.
things.
I get it, but that segment so thoroughly reeked of like
reality TV.
This is the reality TV thing. Like I don't really buy I buy that they would do that, but just like the way that it was edited together, or the way everyone was acting, like that was so like I felt like that segment was so discordant with what we've seen from Breaking Ground so far. But that's the sort of stuff that I buy of like this is what they're playing up.
This
stuff
is
for
one of
reality TV.
the more realer reality shows, and Total Divas. I wouldn't put it past them faking an injury for television sake, but with Breaking Ground, I don't believe that they would do that. Would they write it to make it sound worse than it is?
Yeah.
Yes, maybe, like as they did with Chad Gables, but the dirt sheets and whoever released that Carmella had a concussion a month or two ago, however long ago that was, they wouldn't exaggerate that.
No. I know.
Yeah, hopefully they make it a serious issue, especially with the concussion movie coming out with Will Smith that just came out a couple weeks ago. So like they know that it's serious business, and hopefully they've learned from like the episodes, for better or for worse, do change in their content and style from episode to episode. So hopefully it escalates. I mean, we saw the look on Big Cass at the end, which was
that's just a whole new level of like your significant other is there and you can't do anything. Like you can't run out there and like be by their side.
Like this is going to be. I hope that this is a big issue in the locker room because this is somebody who is on the main roster, and while she hasn't had as much experience as everybody, this is a company representative coming down and underperforming. to a degree where another performer got hurt. I think that this is the perfect opportunity to address something like that in their own words.
It's crazy because we actually did see a similar storyline to this on Total Divas with Cameron.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I believe it was her and Paige down at NXT doing some training, and Paige said, and some of the other girls said, that they didn't want to get in the ring with her until she had more training.
Yeah. Well, just to your point, I think that they probably will treat the concussion aspect of it like a big deal. I do not think that they will make Eva Marie a part of that story.
No.
Because they
want to protect her.
They haven't, not necessarily that, but they haven't made, on Breaking Ground, they have not made Eva Marie like even a human. Like, they've just been like, you're having a match with Eva Marie later, and they like film her like from far away, like backstage, like warming up. Like, she hasn't done a talking head. They haven't addressed who she is. They haven't given, I don't think they've given her a lower third.
They haven't
like
yet.
It's just, she's a person who exists. She's not in
know
NXT.
her.
Like, she's not part of Breaking Ground. She's not part of the performance.
But speaking of that, it might be, there's a possibility that it could be a contractual thing with E.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So like to not be featured on another reality show. Yeah. So it's like, you can be there because that's the nature of the company, but you're not going to get an ITM or any sorts of those things.
From what I know, they picked a handful of people to feature in this show, and there were a couple extras where they had footage of them, like Devin Taylor, who was added in later, but for the most part they focused on like Bailey, Carmella, Tino,
Go on.
couple others.
Yeah.
Apollo Crews.
You know, I want them to focus on damn Hugo Knox because we see him almost every week working people.
I mean, those polka dots are hard to miss.
Seriously. Yeah. And that upper body. He is a very large man.
Those abs, yeah.
Dem abs.
All 20 of them. So, anything else you guys want to mention from this episode?
Well, we had teased in the beginning why like people thought that this was the best episode. I don't think so from a running standpoint. I think last week's episode was great. This was like a continuation of that because we still had Jason Jordan, we still had Baron Corbin, and we've had a tease of Carmella previously. This, like, we're not breaking new ground yet, and which is a weird thing to say. I like how everything has been progressing with these people, and it's great to learn about them more. Bad scramble and all, but he would do terrible in a championship scramble. That's probably why. But to see to see relationships that we don't know about yet, like I think it would have been more like Baymella's been. This is a weird reality TV. Baymella's been like a public thing for a while, so if Twitter or if they didn't Periscope or all this stuff, if we didn't know that and all of a sudden it was like, oh, these guys are great friends, or if it was her and Alexa Bliss being great friends at a time when they just had a short rivalry, that might have been a little bit more like, oh, this is new, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
Right. Well, but the counterpoint to that is that you get stuff like, oh, I didn't know Mojo Rawley and Dana Brooke were friends.
Yeah, no, but we didn't get that on this episode.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, I'm not necessarily complaining that we didn't have a bunch of Mojo Rawley this week, is what I'm saying.
I feel like Mojo Rawley just thinks he's friends with everyone too, Like, he's like one of those guys where he's like, oh yeah, we're awesome. We're great.
He doesn't get friends, he stays friends. Thanks.
We'll see you at NXT at 6.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed this after show. If people want to continue the conversation until next week, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Sundown Motel. You can check us out at CageSideSeason, SBNation.com/wrestling. Check out my weekly wrestling podcast, Ritter Radio, and it's on iTunes and everywhere you find podcasts.
That was really quick. I liked it.
Thank you.
You're getting great at these wrap-ups.
I'm a professional.
You are a professional, much more than me. You can find me on Twitter at SoapboxMark. We're going to be doing the NXT after show in just a little while. You can go to nxteam.spreadshirt.com. We actually have a new hobo design up. And I totally retooled the site, so it's a lot easier to find stuff. Please visit, help us out. It's great for Christmas. We have 3X and 4X shirts now, and even 5X, because I know we have a couple of bigger fans that were requesting it. So there's that. Soapbox Mark doing a whole bunch of shows here. Catherine Kelley.
You can find me on Twitter at Catherine Kelley, on Instagram at Cathy Kelley, here doing the NXT After Show. Check out Championship Wrestling from Hollywood.
Oh, and the Raw After Show, because it was really fun this weekend.
The Raw After Show, oh my gosh, I had so much fun. It wasn't even work, it was awesome. And then Feel Better Hobo. Bill, thank you so much for joining us.
You.
And thank you guys for joining us at home. We will see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.